All right. Welcome to the Deliberate Leaders Podcast with Emerging Talent. I'm your host, Anna. On this podcast, we connect with professionals in their 20s and 30s to gain insight into their journeys, aspirations, and motivations. I'm excited to introduce to you Carson Makin with Velox Media.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, Anna.
Absolutely. So we'll get right in. First question, help me understand your career journey.
Yeah, so I've kind of a non-traditional career journey for sure. Right out of high school, I actually went to the military and ended up getting hurt in training and, got the boot. And after that, I kind of just bounced around for a little bit before finding, what I really wanted to do. Did some sales for a while, and honestly, I did not have a good time with it. I was, trying to sell cars at a Toyota dealership when I was 19 years old, and nobody took me seriously, and I got a little discouraged, and got out of it. Eventually moved into being an electrician. Did that for 5 years until unfortunately a knee injury forced me to get a desk job. And so from there, I went back into sales and mostly been working sales development for a tech company. And my current role is a SDR for a digital marketing agency.
SDR, help me out.
So that's a sales development rep.
Got it.
So yeah, all we do is prospect and then reach out to people. With my company, I'm targeting marketing managers, VPs of marketing, CMOs, stuff like that. And so we prospect, reach out, get the conversation going, get them interested, and then book a meeting for our account executive role, which is called a digital growth manager here.
Yeah. Carson, tell me how old you are.
I am 30, just turned 30 in April.
Nice. So going from 18, thinking that you're going to be in the military, to then selling cars, which if, I think we're at a point now where it's different, but that was like not something, the words that you would say to someone who's in the military, to then go into like electrician and now sales again. Like, how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, it's kind of just rolling with the punches and being quick on adapting. It was definitely a major letdown when the knee injuries forced me out of being an electrician. Went to school for 4 years, spent a lot of time doing it, and I was sure that was going to be my route. So it was definitely not a fun experience going through. But all you can really do is just chalk it up as what it is, and then try to make the most out of the situation as it comes. And I had sales experience, wasn't looking to go back to school, and so I kind of moved back into it. Luckily, my best friend was able to get me a job at a tech company, and just trying to adapt on the fly and make the most out of it.
Yeah, that's an important thing to recognize that you have that skill and you didn't let it define you or deter you, like you learned from it. So I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It definitely was, a little scary, and I wasn't completely sure if my heart was in it. Getting back into it, I thought it was going to be more of a temporary thing. But I'm a very driven person, and once I put my mind to something, I kind of obsess over it. And so I definitely obsessed and bettered my skills, and now I'm in a position that I absolutely love.
Yeah,
So it's never the end. Everybody should just keep fighting.
yeah. So how would you define success in your career?
So that one, I even have some notes written down because that one is a little bit tougher for me. It's harder to nail down like one thing specifically. You know, one I can tell you one thing: titles. I couldn't care less about titles. That doesn't motivate me at all. Overall, and it's just kind of a general overarching theme. I just want to be happy with what I'm doing. I want to have something that is challenging, but yeah, I'm excited to go to work every day. And, you know, just that overall sense of, I guess, accomplishment or feeling satisfied with my career. And financially, I'm not just completely after the money. but I do want to be able to, give my family. I have a daughter on the way. I want to be able, for them to be able to do the things that I couldn't, because I grew up in a family, we didn't have money. I was raised by a single dad, and we're moving constantly to, so we could try to find better careers, make more money to support us. And I don't want my kids to have to go through that. So I don't have a necessary, like, number in mind as far as like financially, but I just want to be secure.
Yeah. Do you happen to have a mentor?
Yes, I mean, I have a bunch. Um, I think really, uh, when you start out your career and when you are younger and you're in your 20s and 30s, having a mentor is extremely, extremely important. And I quit, especially after I got into sales, I quickly learned that was the case. And so every job that I've had over the last 4 or 5 years, that's been one of my first things that I try to lock down when I start a new role is, pick out the good leader, maybe the top performer, and try to emulate them, try to learn from them as much as you can. With my current company, I can definitely say our director of sales, Nick, he's a great guy, one of the guys who hired me. He just got promoted in this position, and I seriously drink up every word he says, because there's good value in there. And it's just incredibly important to have a good mentor.
Are these anything formal, or are you just, yeah, every conversation soaking it up?
Yeah, it's definitely totally informal with him. With our old VP, I had a more formal thing where we'd have weekly one-on-ones. But with Nick, it's more just, when a question comes up, ask him, shoot him a text. Luckily he puts up with me texting him at 9, 10 o'clock at night, asking him a silly question. But those are the kind of mentors you want.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's definitely less formal with him, but rewarding all the same.
Yeah. Good to hear. I agree with you. I think formally would be the best situation because then, maybe not 9 o'clock at night, but reasonable hours to have that dedicated time. But it's good that, especially being a VP, having the respect from you to be able to say, like, you're someone that I can take note of and pay attention that way.
Yeah, definitely. The people who are in leadership roles or the top performers, they're there for a reason. And so if you can find one that is going to be generous with their time, then you got to latch on to that.
Yeah. How would you define or prioritize your professional goals?
I am, well, I'd like to say I'm good at goal setting. Used to be I was really bad at it for the longest time. Honestly, I was kind of intimidating by setting goals because I was so afraid of failing and so afraid of not reaching those goals. And, it might be the athlete in me, just super competitive. And so I really don't like when it doesn't work out. And so I have gotten better over the years, and as far as goal setting, I try to have 4 different types of goals. Um, Kind of more long-term goals like lifetime, and then the smaller ones that lead into that, and you can kind of have a snowball effect. Um, but to my career specifically, it kind of goes back to the same thing as when I was going with my definition of success. It's kind of hard to pinpoint a certain thing. I know with me at this time, I love my job. I love being in sales, but I'm not sure if it's what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I don't really have a lot of long-term goals for it. I have just kind of the generalities, and then the smaller goals that make sure that I'm, being the best that I can at my job.
Yeah. So I also struggled with setting goals for a really long time. I think part of it was also the fear of failure. Like, I don't want to set a goal and then like have a bunch of expectations around this goal and then for it to fall through and then, I did all
Yeah,
this effort
yeah.
for nothing. So
It's
how
a
did
terrible
you,
feeling.
yeah, how did you overcome that? Because that's the thing about goals you have to realize is even if you put a lot of expectation and effort into them, that effort and that expectation was actually like super beneficial for the process and
Yeah.
realizing. But let me hear your version of it.
Yeah, well, no, I'll start out saying that you said it perfectly. You should really pay more when it comes to goals. You should pay more attention to the journey and not where you end up, because you might not hit your goals, but you still got a lot of valuable, skills you learn, pick things up. And that's why like uh, my favorite saying, one of my favorite sayings at least, and you've probably seen me comment this on LinkedIn, is fail forward. uh, because if you're failing, that means you're actually putting yourself out there and you're learning from what you do wrong. And you know the comfort is the biggest enemy of progress.
Yeah.
That's a quote that I butchered from somebody, but I don't quite remember. And I kind of went off on a tangent there a little bit. What was the question?
Oh, how you like overcame
Oh
the
yeah,
like,
okay,
fear
yeah.
of failure.
Sorry. It's been a long day, but really, one thing that really hurt me when I was, you know, younger in my career, I guess, is that failure thing. That was the main thing that was, holding me back from setting the right goals and obtaining my goals. And it was something that I really, really struggled with. And I kind of just did a lot of reading because that's what I do. I'll just study up on everything I possibly can. But I guess, a couple things is just one, reminding myself that I'm in this position for a reason.
Mhm.
I was hired by somebody because they saw something in me, even if I can't see it in myself. And so just forcing myself to keep that in mind, know that I'm here for a reason, and really, really know that, failure isn't the end. Usually it's a good growth opportunity. And, beyond that, you're never going to get anywhere if you're just sitting there sulking, worrying about things, being afraid. You actually have to get out and do. And so just constantly reminding myself that is, made it a lot easier to get through goals and, achieve them, and then not getting so I guess shut down over it.
Yeah, I throw myself pity parties. Or that's what they've
Oh
termed
yeah.
it for me. And Allison, the owner here at Deliberate Directions, she
Mhm.
says, like, okay, you can throw a pity party, but it needs to end like tomorrow or within the hour, or like you need to get back on track.
Yeah, yeah. Take your time to sulk. It's part of the process.
Yeah,
If you're setting these goals, of course, there's going to be a feeling of being let down, or feel that you let other people down or yourself down, and so it's okay to take a second and, feel that, but then take that and bottle it up and use it. Yeah. Use it as motivation for the next time.
yeah, great. Does that kind of flow into how you like handle when you're doubtful or uncertain about a certain situation?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, it all just ties back to, really, when I'm handling stuff like that, is just to get myself out of my comfort zone. Don't throw the pity parties. And, just try to make the most out of any situation that comes to you. Uh, you're never going to grow if you're sitting there, crying about things, crying over spilt milk, or if you're too afraid to actually put yourself out there.
Yeah. Um, when you experience doubt and uncertainty, how do you move past that?
It's just the same thing with reminding myself uh, that when that self doubt's, creeping in, usually if you look at it, if it's somebody looking out in on it from the outside, they're not going to have the same thoughts as me.
Mhm.
I'm my harshest critic, and I know that's the case. And it's kind of like when I'm writing content for LinkedIn. I am my harshest critic when it comes, especially to my writing. And I will sit there and I will obsess over getting the most perfect post, or obsess over a single line within the content that I am like, oh, if somebody reads this, are they going to think I'm an idiot? Like, or I don't know what I'm talking about. And I've really learned that 99% of the time, nobody is thinking that. And, I know as far as me, when I'm looking at somebody else's work, I would rather, I'm more supportive over somebody who's at least trying, somebody who's, trying to get better at it, and somebody who's original. And so it's, it's really just about reminding yourself that, the imposter syndrome has no, shouldn't be in your mind at all. And you just gotta, have a little bit of faith in yourself and myself, and just try to roll with the punches. And anytime there is any kind of failure, just take that, learn from it, and now you know what to do next time.
Yeah. You'd said that this maybe isn't your future forever. Like you're content for now, but what have you been hesitant to pursue, if there's been any?
Yeah, so I think really the main thing for me is just pursuing my writing more. I wanted to be a writer since I was, 7, 8 years old. That was always my goal. The type of writing has changed. I want to be an author. I want to be a sports journalist. I want to do all these different things. And as an adult, for probably the last 5 or 6 years, I have done some freelance work on the side, but I've been afraid to, fully commit to that, for a multitude of reasons. One, it's definitely not as financially secure as what I have now, and that's a big thing that's holding me back. Because, like I said, money isn't everything to me, but when you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle and, have a certain spend, it's very scary to, move into something else where that money isn't guaranteed. Um, and then on top of that, just I'm harping on the, I guess there is a little bit of being afraid of failing with it, because I can say I am my harshest critic, but especially with writing. There's been so many times where I've put out a piece and I just thought it was god awful. And then, I run into somebody at the store and they happen to read it, and compliment me on it. So it's those fears are holding me back. And that's something that I'm definitely, trying to overcome. And so I can pursue it, a little bit harder than I am now.
Yeah. Do you have a writing routine currently?
Yes, I do. Right now, more so for just creating content on LinkedIn. I haven't been doing much writing outside of that just because I've been so busy. But I start out with, I have a long list of all these different ideas that I'll write down when it pops into my head. And then at night after, and I do this every night, it's, get home, I hang out with my girlfriend, and then after she goes to bed, I'll sit down with my laptop and go through that list, pick out a couple ideas that I like, do a little bit more research on it, see if it what's going to be the best idea, how I can build upon this. And then I will, crank out a rough draft. And then when I get done with that, I stop, I put my computer away, and then I come back to it in the morning with, a fresh set of eyes, fresh mindset. And that's when I do my editing and, kind of make some adjustments. And then it's good, get ready to publish.
Yeah. I would like to write a book one day, but I admire people that have the skill set for it. I think it would be a chore for me to do that type of routine. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it's definitely hard, and that's writing in general. That's where I've struggled is having that consistency and the set routine for it, and just making myself do it.
yeah. Shifting into like workplace, how do you personally navigate workplace politics or difficult colleagues?
Yeah, I try to avoid
Okay.
avoid it. It's just who I am as a person. That's the main reason why I'm not selling cars anymore. I've spent a couple years doing that, but it seems like every dealership I was at, there was a lot of politics, a lot of nepotism, stuff like that. And it made it kind of, I don't know, it put a sour taste in my mouth for that. But, sometimes it's just not unavoidable or avoidable, unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
Sorry. But yeah, sometimes you're just going to have to deal with it no matter what. And I think the big thing that I've really learned when it comes to dealing with that is to try to have empathy and try to, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Um, because a lot of times, they have a different perspective on it. And not only that, it seems like the vast majority of times when there is, some kind of friction there, it's usually over a miscommunication. And so if you actually take the time to step back for a little bit, look at it from their point of view, and then if you still don't understand it, just sit down and have a reasonable talk. It's better to have that little bit of awkwardness and uncomfortableness to have that conversation in the first place. But I promise you, it's going to be better than if you just let it sit there and that anger or whatever it is, let that build up. Just pull off the band-aid and sit down, have a reasonable talk with somebody and try to figure it out. And
Mhm.
I think every time that situations come up in my career, it's always gotten worked out.
Have you have you read Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher?
No, I have not.
So it's a book on negotiation, but his whole like point is often when we get into conflict, it's over positions. And so when
Hmm.
you're saying miscommunication, like I think a lot of times I'm saying this, you're saying this, and now we're disagreeing. But if you can get underneath that to the interests, like I'm interested in this, you're interested in this, now we can come together. I
Yeah.
think if we could take that perspective with the workplace miscommunications, we'd be much over, much more quicker over whatever our miscommunications and get back to like harmony.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree anymore. A lot of times those problems are something silly.
Yeah.
And if you just come at it with an open mindset, you'll work those silly problems out.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay, moving into rapid fire. So I'm just going to ask you a question. The first thing that comes to your mind, say it and then we'll move on.
Okay.
What's your go-to source of inspiration when you need to refocus and motivate yourself as a leader?
So lately, well, there's two things. Lately it's been LinkedIn. I have a bunch of, creators and leaders that I follow. Some of them I've gotten to be pretty decent friends with, and that's one thing I love about LinkedIn is it really does have the community aspect of it. Um, and so, a lot of times where I could use a little bit of motivation or inspiration towards, bettering myself as a leader or a teammate or whatever, there's so much out there on that site that you can use and implement in your life. And then I do have one book that's always I can always go back to when I need a little bit of that. And it's not necessarily like a leadership book or anything like that, but it's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
I was just recommended that book.
I love that book. It is so good. The guy is absolutely insane. He, everything he does, he's just takes it to another level as far as determination and just moving past, uh, that I guess that thing in you that makes you want to give up. But you know, every lesson that he has in that book, even if it doesn't specifically line up with my life, there's been great things that I can take from that. And so there have been, multiple times where I've been struggling, could use a little bit of help. And I have it saved on Kindle and I have it saved on Audible. And I'll pull that up and go to some of my favorite parts and listen through it or read through it. And I've always gotten a lot out of it.
Yeah, that's cool. What's one self-development practice that you swear by, and how has it helped you in your leadership journey?
It's just Probably the main thing I think that's really helped me, in all aspects of life, as far as developing skills, becoming a better teammate, becoming a better leader, is just to have an inquisitive nature.
Mhm.
I'm always, hungry to learn more things. I'm a constant reader. I'm constantly Googling things. I drive my girlfriend insane because all I watch is documentaries. But, having that, I guess, desire to learn and develop new skills has suited me so well throughout my career and throughout my personal life. And, you know, it's funny where I may be learning about something completely different than, teamwork or leadership, but just by getting into whatever it is, there usually is some kind of skill that you can develop through that will translate into other aspects.
Mhm. Yes. If you could develop any leadership trait overnight, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, I think really just being more empathetic. I said that, that's something that's helped me in conflict before, but I know that there's still a lot of room where I could grow on that. And I think the best leaders really are ones who, will look at it from your point of view, can understand how you feel. And so that's something that I just, for the rest of my career, I'm always going to try to develop. I think it really helps out in my career being in sales, because the best salespeople are the ones who can look at things that way. And so just, I think the more I can be understanding, the better it's going to make me as a teammate and as a leader and, everything.
Yeah. What's your best tip, trick, or tool to leverage your personal or professional life?
Uh, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
I think beyond just LinkedIn, I think the networking aspect, because there's been so many times in my career where I can take a one-off connection or a one-off experience, something that's happened, within my network, within my friend group, family group, and I can take that and can implement it in other parts of my life. And they say it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And I think what is a big part of it still, but having a good network, of people that you've helped out that are willing to help you out, and having like that mentor thing, having those people that you can learn from, and you can take those experiences with them and leverage it into other aspects of your life. I think it's super helpful. So the more you can get out there and meet people, and the more you can learn from people and create these relationships, I mean, it'll come back and pay off big time. And I can definitely speak to that. I think I had moved like 15, 16 times before I graduated high school. And so I was always the new kid. I was always making new friends. And, fast forward to where I'm 30, I have friends across, 6 different states. And, that network, comes back and helps me out time and time again. But I just got to say that a lot of it is because I've done it for them. I think, having a mindset of wanting to help people, educate people, and just be there for people. Uh, that's huge. And so you can have the biggest network ever, but if you're not doing something to provide value for them, they're not going to provide value for you.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast and
Yeah,
share
of
about
course.
your career journey and how you've gotten here and where you're going. If someone has absolutely resonated with what you've said and are looking for a short-term mentor or just to pick your brain further, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
So LinkedIn probably be the best one. My name on that is Carson Walter Makin. So you can always reach out to me there. I'm obsessed with LinkedIn, if you can't tell, and it's a huge part of my job. So I'm on there I'm on the platform all day long. You know, and you can always just shoot me an email at carson@veloxmedia.com. It's VELOX, or just carsonmakin2@gmail.com.
Nice. Thank you so much. For our listeners, this is a Spotify exclusive podcast. So if you enjoy the content, please subscribe and follow this channel. If you know someone who can benefit from hearing this message, send it their way too. And you can find Deliberate Directions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and locally in Boise, Idaho. Thanks for listening.